Let's change gears to the club world. And I know a good friend of mine, Jim Stagnita, who you know was in the club space for a while, and he got out. And I asked him why, and he said it's a business that you cannot meet the customer's expectations. And how, as being a club guy, what kind of things that are fair and unfair that parents maybe have expectations wise of a club, and what are some of the maybe the what expectations the club have of parents that may be fair and unfair?
Yeah, I think the on the parent side, your kid is not going to go play Division One lacrosse. I think every parent thinks that my son is going to play Division One lacrosse, and to narrow it down even more, my son's going to go play at Duke, at Maryland, at Hopkins, at Penn. That is very small. So I just think that every parent thinks at the moment that they sign up, their son is going to go play at one of these elite schools is not the case, and they're going to go play Division One. So I think that getting that out of people's minds and parents' minds should be first and foremost. Like your son should be playing club lacrosse to make them a better player. Like how much are they practicing? Like what are their coaches saying to them? And then from that moment on, like as they get more serious and start to play in high school, just making sure that they're going to tournaments where there's college coaches on the sideline. I think that's like an expectation of parent when you move to the high school. Like, I just want to know like what tournaments we're playing in and how many practices we have and who are the coaches. And maybe you can say like, hey, who are some of the alum from your program that and what schools have they played at? Because certainly, as you know, colleges helmet recruit, and they will recruit
Right.
kids from certain high schools. They like some like to recruit kids from certain club programs, knowing who they were coached by. So sometimes that helps. And now on the flip side, from the club directors, like it's not fair to them to think like you're going to get every kid into a Division One program as well.
Correct.
So I think for them, like, I wouldn't overpromise and underdeliver because some guys do, and eventually, like that catches up. And as long as you can say, like, I'm doing the best I can for your son or daughter, and you got to trust me based on my track record and the history, and you can talk to other parents. It is what it is. But how I see it now is like you got to shoot for the moon, and even if you fall short, we land amongst the stars. So if you can't crush a kid or a parent's dream if they really want to go to Maryland. But at some point in time, you're going to know, Coach Hogan, when a kid is 16 or 17, where it's like he's definitely not playing in Maryland, and he still could be a great player, and he could have awesome grades, and be like, you know what, Maryland's not the fit, and maybe you're not a Division One player, but what a lot of parents overlook is like there's incredible Division Three schools, and you talk about the NESCAC, like Williams is the hardest school in the country to get into, and if Williams is saying, hey, we can get you in here by you being a lacrosse player, and you obviously have very good grades, better than a regular student applying here, like that's your golden ticket. And Tufts and Bowdoin and some of these other incredible schools that are in the NESCAC and Centennials and so on and so forth, like you can't overlook that and those connections that when you go there, like you're most likely going to have a great job coming out. And then there's the other way of looking at it where I'm sure you've had it as well. There's kids that are like, I want to play Division One lacrosse and I want to play Division One lacrosse at a warm weather school. Well, that narrows it down to like five schools. You're looking
Yeah,
at Five
exactly.
Point, Jacksonville, Mercer,
Mercer.
maybe like a Duke of North Carolina. If you consider them warm, they can certainly get cold. So if you're not playing in one of those like five, six schools, Richmond, maybe put that in there.
Yeah.
And if that's really what you want to do, I also say, you know what? If you like lacrosse, and you don't love it, but you're not getting recruited by those schools, like what's wrong with going to Georgia? What's wrong with going to Ole Miss or Florida, playing club, having an awesome experience? Because if you were to go to another school in the Northeast and it was cold and you're sitting on the bench, like you're not going to be happy. So ultimately, too, it goes what I keep saying is like the happiness and the love. Like you can still love the sport, but at the end of the day, like you might be happy going to Georgia and going to football games where there's 100,000 people and it's warmer weather and You have an alumni database of hundreds of thousands of people, and you get to see SEC football and basketball and some of those things, and making sure that parents see the whole universe when it comes to recruiting and aren't just so pigeonholed and narrow-minded on like it's D1 and like these D1 schools are bust. Like there's a home for everyone, and you just have to be realistic. And I think, as you know, sometimes as a club director, it's very tough to have these honest conversations with people and be like, you know what, Jimmy's just not made for the ACC, but
Right.
he would be a great centennial lacrosse player at the Division III level. They would love to have him, and some people poo-poo that notion, and other ones it takes to the last minute for them to finally see it, and then they agree to that.